Hi, guys. I'm back today with a personal guest. I'm so happy and honored to have Laura join the podcast today. Laura and I bonded through practicing Spinal Flow together. We were in the same certification course, and we became pretty close friends. And I am going to start doing more and more videos on Spinal Flow because people need to know what it is. So I thought, who better to have on here as my first guest than my Spinal Flow sister? So thank you so much, Laura, for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited.
Yes, it's so cool. I'm so happy to have you today. So Laura, do you mind? I usually just start off like asking people to kind of like introduce themselves. Like, can you tell us what brought you to Spinal Flow? How did you find out about it?
That's kind of a long story. I'll try to make it a little bit shorter. But
yeah, that's okay. We've got time.
So what brought me to Spinal Flow was my health was really bad. It had just gotten really bad from stressful events in my life, and I just didn't know how to process it all. And I think the stress just kept on building and building, and I just felt awful. And I'd go to doctors and they'd be like, "We don't know what's wrong with you. Like, you're fine." And like, I feel like I'm dying inside. And then finally, later on, they actually found things that were going on with me. I had degenerate spine. I had fibroids and polyps on my uterus. I had carpal tunnel. And then my neck, I had the degenerate spine in my neck. It was getting so bad that I remember that I'd have to like lean my head up against a wall or just lay down because it just felt so heavy. And so,
Wow.
anyways, before it got that bad, I was doing acupuncture and doing things, and it helped, but it just was not fixing the problem. And finally, I started going to the doctors, and again, after like I had been evaluated for these, because I was starting to get steroid shots into my hip for my spine. And I was going to get carpal tunnel surgery. They were going to put copper wires in my neck with a battery pack to like build up the muscles. And I had heard about Spinal Flow on the internet, but I was kind of, skeptical of like, it's on the internet, and I saw it on Facebook. So
right.
skeptical.
Right.
And I got online to try to find a practitioner, but at that point in time, there were only 3 practitioners in the US, and they were all
only 3.
Yeah, only 3.
Wow.
And they were all far away from me. So I was like, well, I don't know if it works or what. So I just went about my life. Probably a year later, I got all the surgeries in line with all the stuff. And 2 days, I don't know, 2 or 3 days maybe before I was going in for some surgeries, got back online, and there was somebody in Hayden that was doing Spinal Flow. And she was like, "I'm coming up to Sandpoint tomorrow." Like, I was like, okay. So I saw her, and I also have scoliosis. I have a lot of other things too going on in my body, but those are the main things.
Sounds like it.
And I was on the table, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," because Spinal Flow is interesting. If you don't know what it is, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get something," it's so light and gentle. But anyways, towards the end of the session, I felt my spine just kind of go like walk in the table, and I was like, "What the crap?"
It like slammed into the table.
Yeah, like my spine like almost like corrected itself, not fully, like it's not like, oh, my scoliosis was gone, but like it started, like it moved, like it shifted, and I felt it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and this is amazing. And so I canceled some of my surgeries. I didn't get the copper wires in my neck, and I canceled carpal tunnel. And I still got my hysterectomy, but I didn't have to get those 2 surgeries. And anyways, it just changed my life. And I mean, we worked on each other together with it, and
Oh, I literally, like, I've known this story, but I literally have goosebumps all over again just hearing that. Like, that is so incredibly cool. So
Sure.
just so people understand, like you had mentioned, it's an incredibly light touch,
Hmm.
like fingertip touch
Yeah.
on certain access points along the spine. And so it's not like a massage or pushing like a chiropractor. So when she says her spine just slammed into the table, um, it's a what would the right word be, like an autonomic response, like her body just did that on its own, and the practitioner wasn't even touching her back. I mean, like, not in the middle of it, her back, like they were probably at your head or at your sacrum at that time, right?
Yes, I don't know which one she was at, but yeah, she was at one of those points, and it was just like, what just happened? Like, how did
That's
that
so cool.
happen? Yeah,
That's awesome.
so I
So
was a believer that day.
yeah, so after that one session, that was like enough for you to be like, okay, I'm going to give this a try and see how much better I can feel.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
So,
that's so cool.
and then
um
yeah,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was like, and then I was like, I'm getting certified. I'm doing this. I want to help people. Like,
Yeah.
what it just did for me, because I was like, I know this is going to help. I know that it's going to do a change, because
Yeah.
I witnessed it that first time. And so,
Yes. Okay, cool. So then you started the certification course.
mhm.
And then through the lady from Hayden, you and I were introduced to each other because she's like, oh, you're a newbie, so are you. Let's, you guys should meet up and practice on each other
Mhm.
throughout the course. And so we did that weekly, and that was incredible. Can you tell a few more examples of what kind of progress your body made while we were just in that like 6-month period while we were working on each other? I can think of a couple, so let me know if you need me to remind you, but go ahead.
Well, one that's significant that I remember when you were working on me and we were doing those trades is, I remember, so I have a tucked tailbone. And I remember when you were working on me and I felt my like tailbone, or like I don't know if I felt my tailbone, but I felt my like lower back start like lifting. And I remember it was the most painful, excruciating thing. And I felt like my back was going to break. But I knew
Yeah.
that I was like, she's not even doing anything to me. She's just touching me. And so I just tried to trust my body and be like, okay, it knows what it's doing. Just like, stop, just let it do whatever it needs to do. And it was really painful, but I remember feeling so much better after that. Like I just kind of like loosened up in my lower back and in that pelvis area, and it was just amazing. It was literally amazing.
Yeah, I remember that too. It was I was like nervous, because we hadn't got certified yet, and I was like, "Do you want me?" I was still touching this, this access point, and I'm like, "Do you want me to stop?" Like, and she's like, "It hurts so bad, but no." Like, logically, I know that you're not hurting me.
Uh-huh.
I know my body is the one doing this, and from my perspective, seeing your back, yeah, she's right. It was like, how would I? So at her waist, basically, her waist was going down in the table, and her back was coming up, and it was just like just really, really, really high arched,
Mm-hmm.
and like her butt was up in the air, and her upper back was up in the air, and her waist was super down. And I mean, and it was happening on its own again. Like, she wasn't able to control it. Her body was just doing its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So question, after that, have you gotten any like x-rays since then to see like if your scoliosis has straightened out? I'm just curious.
I have not. And I would love to go
Okay.
back in. I would love to get an MRI again just to see what my
Oh
spine
yeah.
looks like for my degenerate spine, because I mean, it was so
Yeah.
bad that like literally I couldn't hold up my head. And I mean, I have done like a 180 in my health. Um, I mean, just my mental stability, because I was in depression too. I was depressed and stuff.
Yeah.
And stress causes my body to get rashes all over it from like clothes. And I had a chronic cough from COVID in 2019. It all went away. Like, it all went away. And like it just dumbfounds me. It is amazing to me, like, what your body can do if you just get out of your head.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The body has its own innate wisdom, thankfully, from God. And like you say, you just, all we're doing as practitioners is touching a light access point, and that activates like the healing process and puts the body into a parasympathetic mode.
Mhm.
And when it's in that mode, it's able to actually start unwinding the stress and unwinding the blockages, emotional, chemical, physical. And that's the only time you can really heal, is when you're in that relaxation state, that parasympathetic mode. And in our normal lives, we're just going on about our lives, working, sleeping, eating, dealing with family and traumas that are happening every day, and people never really get a chance to put themselves into that mode, and or nor would they even really know how to.
Yeah,
And so it's pretty special and pretty amazing what can happen in just a 20-minute session.
I know. Well, I mean, not everybody, but most everybody is in that fight or flight state. That total, our bodies are stressed out, and it's a lot, and it just starts like shutting down. The stress is so, it's a killer. I was doing some research because I was like, oh, I want to like, look at the stress factor of like what's going on in the world. And because I was thinking like, I want to help people that are stressed out. So like how many people are stressed out? And there was like, I can't remember, like 85, 80, I don't know, somewhere in the 80% that people are so stressed out that it's causing physical health issues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
I mean, literal physical, yeah, making organs shut down, and maybe, spurning on cancer and different things, I would imagine.
yeah, I mean, I was
Your
just
body,
kind of like,
your immune system probably wears down, and then chronic diseases flare up.
And then because of the stress, I think it said it was somewhere in the 80s too. It was a lower percentage, that maybe it was like 82%, that the stress is causing mental illnesses too. And yeah. And then the sleep disorders from stress. And then it talked about like people doing crime because they're so stressed out that it like pushes them into doing things that they normally wouldn't do.
Yeah. And then also on top of that, they turn to alcohol and drugs to self-medicate or just to cope.
Yeah.
And then as spinal flow practitioners, we're helping the body to finally release those chemical blockages in addition to the physical and emotional ones. And so it's almost like we're doomed if our body can't release that stuff, and we just keep layering it on and on and on over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. That's such a cool story. Okay. So, and then the other one that came to my mind was, remember you used to have like a burning pain in your head?
Yeah, when you would work on me sometimes and I'd get that
Yeah.
horrible burning sensation.
Yeah. Tell everyone about that. And then what happened one day when I was like on your sacrum, far from her head. Tell people what happened, if you don't mind.
So, I don't know exactly what my body was doing, but I just right through this area, and I wasn't sure. I'm like, is it just the headpiece? Like my head's in there and it's just hurting. But I was like, no, like it's like turned like it was on fire. Like I felt like someone like had put like hot coals right through here, and I almost was like, stop! I can't take it anymore. I can't do this. Like it was so painful that I tried to bear through it, and I did. And then like I've had this happen a couple times, so I'm trying to remember the one with us. And
That's okay. Explain any of them, really. I mean, it's cool that it's happened more than once.
And then I have like an emotional release where like I start crying, or I think with you, was it like I felt a pop? Okay, yeah.
Your head popped.
I felt a pop in my head. So yeah.
And then it released something.
Yeah, and then it went away.
Yeah, and then it went away. And I think prior to that happening, if I recall correctly, I remember you complaining, and I say that lightly, but complaining about the pain and the burning sensation, probably for like 3 sessions. 3 full sessions, meaning maybe 3 weeks. Every time I'd work on her, she's like, oh, I'm almost dreading this because I have the worst headache and burning sensation. But then after like the 3rd session, during the 3rd session is when it popped and released something.
Yeah.
And that never came up again, at least with me.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Pretty crazy.
think of the other time.
I remember it.
So
Oh,
is
oh,
that
you mean, oh, the other time
well,
that
I
it
remember
happened.
there was one time that I like started crying after it. Was that with you too?
No, nope. You never had an emotional relationship with me. Must have been somebody at the Mexico immersive, maybe.
Maybe, because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. So what is it? Was it preceded by burning?
Yeah, the burning came on, and then I just started crying, and then the burning went away. So that must have been at
So
the immersion because I'm yeah.
yeah. So then in that case, you had a physical blockage that released with the pop. And then you also later had an emotional blockage that released with the crying. It's so incredible. And then the last one that I remember while working on you was, I think it was after our very first session. Very first session. We had just met. We're pure, total strangers. Work on her. And then she goes home and apparently, well, I'll let you explain it, but it was the one where you had this severe pain in between your shoulder blades, and what your husband said.
Yeah. The stabbing in between my shoulder blades. I don't remember what my husband said or anything, but I do remember now that I had that pain, and I put we had to put the TENS unit on me because I was in so much pain after that
For like
session.
days. For days, right? Like
Yeah.
3 or 4 days later?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But then
I remember.
my shoulders after, I think I felt like a pop. Was that a pop too? I don't
I think so. I think that's what you told me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So long ago. That was like a year ago. No?
That's
Was it?
true. It
Yeah.
probably was. It probably lasted all.
Yeah. Um, or maybe not totally a year, but yeah. There was like a pop, I think, and then it like kind of shifted and the pain went away, and like my spine was even more straighter, my shoulders were on, and yeah. It's just it's amazing.
Yeah. The part of the story I remember, which I thought was funny, was, you had just had one session from me, never met me before. You had this stabbing, just horrible stabbing pain between your shoulder blades, and your husband's like, "What did she do to you?"
Probably like, don't go back to her.
Yeah, don't go back. This is terrible. She did she hurt you? Like, what the heck? And then you were like, no, like out there. She just this slightly, and not even where the pain is, right? And so you had faith enough in what spinal flow is doing and what your body is doing that you kept coming back despite the pain. All these examples we're giving people. So sorry to scare people, but sometimes to heal, you gotta tough out the pain first, because your body's literally shifting things around and putting them back in the place where they should be. And again, Laura has pretty bad scoliosis, so again, it would be so cool to see what your spine looks like now after even, and that was just your very first session with me.
Yeah.
So,
no, I could imagine it's so different. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. I actually want to hear you talk more than me, but I just keep thinking of the examples. So the last example I can think of that you have told me about was your carpal tunnel. How did that improve?
Oh, well, it's totally it's not gone. Okay, so it's not like my carpal tunnel is 100% gone. But because I used to have major strength in my hands, like tons of strength.
You're a country girl.
Yeah, I'm a country girl, bales, everything. And my carpal tunnel got so bad that, and I can too. I do lots of things. And anyways, it got so bad that holding a knife just to chop something would be so painful, that I could barely do it. And the strength in my hands was so weak. I mean, I couldn't do anything. It was ridiculous. If I got a bloody nose, just to pinch my nose, I couldn't barely do it because it would hurt my hand. Wow. It was pathetic.
Well, that's amazing. No wonder you wanted to have surgery to fix it. Like that you couldn't function. And she's a mom and has kids, and she's got to be able to make dinners and lunches, and so yeah, and take care of bloody noses. So That's amazing. So how long into having treatments did you notice your strength coming back in your hands?
I don't know. I don't know if I really noticed that, but I mean, I can give you the difference from then of what I was like to what I am now. I can hold a knife, I can chop, I can do things. I can give my husband probably a 15-minute massage now, where I used to be like, I can't, I'm sorry. So, so my strength it's come back significantly. Is it the same as it was a long time ago? No. But I don't complain about carpal tunnel anymore. I don't fall asleep and my arm and my wrists are in so much pain that like it wakes me up throughout the night.
Wow. So incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like for me, I'm just like, I don't feel like I have carpal tunnel. I just know that I've lost the strength now. So, well, this is exciting. I used to not be able to do push-ups, and I can do push-ups. So
wow, yeah, because that's really stretching that. Yeah,
I don't do a lot because I don't want to damage. But
that's my excuse too.
Well, it worked out, okay? Like once in a blue moon.
Love it. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so now I'm curious about, you mentioned you were getting shots like in your hip.
Yeah, I had to get the cortisone shots in my hip because I used to, man, I was a mess. I don't think I like talking about all this stuff.
You know, you're going to resonate with people out there that have exactly the same issues.
Yeah.
So this is really, really helpful. Thank you for sharing.
So I used to get the cortisone shots because I couldn't sit in a car probably more than an hour because I'd get in so much pain. And, you know, I live 20 minutes out of town. And so just driving into town and back, like if I'm dropping off kids or doing something, you know, I would be in pain. And 3 hours, it was
low back pain or hip pain?
It was hip
or
pain,
sciatica.
and it would go into the sciatica where I'd go dead.
Okay.
And in the tailbone.
Yep. Okay.
So those things, yeah, it sucked. Or just sitting down. I couldn't sit down for too long, and I couldn't stand for too long. I used to give riding lessons, horse riding lessons, and I used to take the kids out and go walking with them. And while they were riding, and I had to shut it all down because of my leg. And it was my left leg that the sciatic and was really bad because my L4, L5 was really crunched in there, or well, the degenerate spine. So, like sometimes my leg would just give out underneath me. And that was like my first pivotal point before like all the other things. I mean, carpal tunnel was already there. I was dealing with that. I've been dealing with carpal tunnel for probably about 10 years.
Wow. Chronic.
So, and I just never wanted to get carpal tunnel surgery because I had little babies. I'm like, I can't have a surgery and not hold my kids and do stuff for 6 weeks. So I just kept dealing with it. But the hip thing is when my legs started giving out that it was really hard on me.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, actually scary. Okay, so can you think of anything else that you'd like to share about, like, just changes in your body before we go on to another topic?
Well, I kind of went over, I think I went over most of it, the rashes, degenerate spine, the scoliosis, the cough,
What about, okay, so those are mostly physical. What about,
my emotional?
any chemical or emotional changes?
I don't know about chemical changes because I'm not a very chemical person. I'm pretty like,
pretty clean.
I'm pretty clean. I eat out once in a while, but for the most part, like I make my own stuff. Like I don't like harsh cleaners or laundry detergent. So I don't think the chemical was really too much. I think I had some inflammation. If I recall you working on me, I remember I was inflamed.
Yeah.
And so I guess,
but very mild.
I guess I did have some of that, but I don't recall it really affecting my life.
Yeah.
The emotional, yes, emotional. So, excuse me. So for my emotional, stuff that it has helped, it's been a big change. That sounds so,
It's
I
way
don't
more
know.
impactful
But,
than it's words can express.
yes, and I do get emotional about it because, sorry, but as a mom, for almost like 7 years from dealing from other traumas, I was just kind of checked out. And it was, it was hard, but I couldn't function really. And even get on antidepressants, it made me happier, but I was just, they make you really tired and you just sleep all the time. So it was like either mom's either angry, depressed, or mom's sleeping her life away. And so it was really hard. And so with that, huge different change. I am no longer depressed. I'm actually happy. I do things with my kids again. I've always liked to do stuff, and we're doing things again. I play with my kids again. I actually go do things. And so for that, I think to me, that's, even though like my body's working, like that's probably the most significant to me and the biggest blessing.
I love you.
So,
I love you, friend. Oh my gosh.
but,
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. You know what? There are so many people out there, moms and dads, that can identify with what you just said and probably are feeling what you're feeling. And wow, I mean, the goosebumps are real again. And just knowing that you did nothing different, right? Nothing in your life changed other than getting spinal flow treatments. You didn't go do therapy. You didn't.
yeah,
Nothing else.
that was the only thing that I did therapy previously. I went to counseling and therapy and acupuncture and chiropractic, and they all helped. Don't get me wrong, like they helped, but Spinal Flow changed my life, and I can't thank God enough
I love
for that.
You just
like,
said I can't thank God enough, because
yeah.
I was about to throw in a joke and say you're welcome because I worked on you. But no, all credit and glory.
Well, you too.
And again,
well, I'm so grateful that you did it too, because if you didn't, I would have been all alone, or you would have been all alone
to learn from and work on. So for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And again, totally was joking anyways, as you know, but I'm letting people know we don't take credit for it at all. So the good or the bad, right? So if somebody comes to a session with me and they walk away and worse than they came in, I get excited about that because I know that means things are shifting. But I don't take credit for hurting them, because their own body is doing things, and it sometimes hurts, as Laura's examples talked about. But likewise, if they leave feeling amazing, I can't take credit for that either. All I did was help facilitate the body's own healing process. So all credit goes to God, and to his putting such wisdom into the body to heal itself.
For sure. I know. That's what I'm like. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just facilitating your body from the sympathetic state to that parasympathetic state.
Love it. And
that's what I do.
even if somebody doesn't have like major before and after stuff, I'll use myself as an example. I don't have any major stories like Laura has. However, I can definitely say that it is what did they say? One session is equal to 8 hours of REM sleep. It is 100% relaxing. It shifts your body into that different mode. And whether you realize it's happening or not. Like with me, I couldn't really tell much was happening. It's still working. And so people that get sessions, if they're more like me, still have faith in it, because even then I knew that stuff was happening, because I remember feeling like I had a deep tissue massage. Like afterwards, I felt so loosey and like, wow, like what did you do to me? And again, she did nothing. She just simply was touching access points. So stuff was shifting on that level. And then in addition to the loose feeling, sometimes I left feeling really, really achy. Again, body is shifting, muscles are shifting, bones are shifting. And then this is kind of gross, but I'm kind of a, tell it all person. But the one major, I guess, example I personally have is just after our week immersive in Mexico when we got certified down there. Well, we were certified before, but we did it again. Yeah, double. Anyways, when I got done with that, because you're getting worked on multiple times a day for like a week straight. When I got done with that, I was in the airport waiting for my flight, and I kept having to go to the bathroom, and it was number 2. And it's gross, but stuff came out of me that I think had been in there for a long time. And of course I felt so much better when it was out. And it's, I don't know if that was my maybe emotional chemical release. I'm not sure, but as dark and black and nasty as it was toxic, and it had to come out. And I guarantee that there was no coincidence in that. It came out because of having those back-to-back Spinal Flow sessions during that week. So I'm a better person for it, now. Yeah. I'm sure I'm happier on that level, have more energy, feel healthier. So it helps people in a variety of ways. Everybody's unique. And I think the huge lesson I personally want people to come away with, though, from your story is push through the pain. Push through the pain, people. Don't come to 1 or 2 sessions and be like, oh, I'm feeling worse, I'm not going back. No, feeling worse is actually a really, really good sign. Would you agree?
I totally agree. Like, I think if you're feeling like crap after just like having somebody put their finger on you like that, like your body's doing something. Because it didn't just happen, just be like, oh, yay. Like, unless you like got sick or something, but like something happened. And
I love that. Thank you. Okay,
like
so
it's doing something.
Come into my mind. Some people are not comfortable with stuff that they can't understand. And so they might be like, oh, it's woo-woo, I'm a Christian, or I'm conservative. And like, what are you doing? Is this freaky? You're a Christian as well. I'm a Christian. Can you speak to that briefly on how to dispel any, worry feelings that people might have?
Well, I don't know if I can do that for some people, because some people are very like set in their mindset. But for me and my own personal belief, it's just energy is all around us, right? Trees have energy, the earth has energy, our bodies have energy, the animals have energy. And I believe that energy is created by God. That energy is the energy that he created in all of us to give life to things. And with spinal flow, it is a scientific thing of the dura matter around the brain, around the spinal column, and the nerves coming out. They control everything in your body. So this like strip, right here, is controlling everything in you. And that energy in there with that dura matter and stuff, you're just connecting to those nerves and the energy that's kind of flowing in you. And you're just kind of like helping it to sync up and release your blockages, which, the blockages are that emotional, chemical or physical things that start happening in the body, where it's like, through your head, through your spine, and those muscles start constricting around vertebrae. And then it's like, oh, we got too much problem here. Let's we're going to put the weight on another vertebrae. And it just keeps on creating these blockages. And as your nerves are getting pinched, those things start shutting down. And so what you're just kind of doing is just trying to sync that brain up with that, the end, and just trying to get it to open up and get that recognizing itself, and get you out of that fight or flight state to relax and get that REM sleep that's supposed to be naturally helping your body, which I don't think most of the world gets. But I think it's all to God. It's God's energy. It's His creation. It's all of His.
That was a great explanation.
Everything's His.
And like I said,
so
I picked up on the point where you said getting it to connect to your body again. When there's a blockage, your brain signal is not able to connect to that organ or tissue or cell anymore because there's a blockage there. So you're helping the signals from the brain reach all of the places throughout the body by releasing blockages along the spinal column. And I know I was working on a lady one day where she said, I can feel my leg for the first time. She's like, I had a leg before, but I'm connected to it now. My leg is now connected back to my body. And that was super cool to hear her say. So that's an example of what it does. And then can you also speak to, does it only help skeletal and muscular issues, or I know you talked about emotions earlier, but can you give an example of other things that maybe it helps people with, and why?
I've worked with a lot of people, and it's helped a lot of people with plantar, I can never say it, plantar fasciitis, and neuropathy and numbness, and so I've worked with a lot of people like that. Stroke,
vision, just any.
And so to me, in my brain and what I think of spinal flow, I'm like, I don't think there's nothing that it can't help. Because our bodies are so amazing, and if we just get out of our stupid heads and just let it do what it needs to, it would be fine. But we tell ourselves things, and our brain is so powerful. We talk ourselves out of doing stuff, or we can talk ourselves into being sick, or we can talk ourselves into all these different things of negativity. Yes, we can tell ourselves these stories that create this awful thing inside that can shut us down. But yeah, for me, helped my rashes, helped my cough. So I'm like, I just don't know what it can't do. But that being said, everything takes different time for every person. You can't go in one time and be like, I'm going to be fixed, or in 20 sessions, you're going to be done. Everybody's body is different. And something that I've noticed is, more people that are more in control and control things, and it's have a harder time relaxing on the table, and it takes them a little bit longer to actually get their body to that state to really just relax, where they can actually start that healing process. But it does work. Everybody takes different time, and how I've explained it to you, it's a wound. We have wounds. They all heal on our body. And depending on the wound, depends how long it's going to take to heal. You get a scratch, it's going to heal pretty quick. You're going to have this big festering wound that's so infected. And
no, I love that.
It takes a lot longer.
And another thing, maybe just to clarify, when you said some people take longer to get into that relaxation state, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she meant longer sessions. She meant longer amount of time having sessions.
No.
Maybe they need to have sessions for a year, right? Maybe their trauma and issues are so great they need a year. But she's not talking about a 2-hour session.
No, no, not talking about the length of the session, just talking about how many sessions it will take for you to actually get into that state. And they always get into that state, but it's harder for them to get there. And as their body keeps on coming in and they keep coming into the sessions, they relax faster, they get into it faster. And then it's like, and then it's like, kind of like you can get your body on the table and it's like, oh, I know what I'm supposed to do, right? Like this muscle memory is like, I'm supposed to heal now. Like, boop. And kind of like bike riding, right? You just get on and your body's like, I know what to do.
Okay, so if somebody asks, well, I have this problem, this problem, this problem, how many sessions do you think I will need, or how many per week? How often should I come?
Well, if it's really not up to me, right? It's like it's up to the client. It's up to them and what they're wanting. Are they wanting faster healing? Then you got to come in more. I would recommend 3 times a week. I mean, honestly, like for us, when we were at the immersion, we were there every day for 7 days, right? Or 6 days. And we were getting like 4 sessions a day. Just short little sessions. And in that week, changed my life. And so, and then I had all those sessions previous. But yeah, the more you can get in, the faster your body is going to heal. And so that's up to the client. It's up to them of being like, what can they dedicate to? Because they have work, jobs and stuff. But the more you can get in,
that was such a good way to explain.
The better.
Thank you. So yeah, it's like I told a lady that I worked on the other day, it's, I'm never going to pressure you to come back on a certain schedule, just to earn money or anything like that. It's the schedule that your body's telling you it needs, that's what matters. And also how quickly you want to heal. So how bad is this problem? You've probably had it for a long time, potentially. The longer the chronic problem is, the longer it's going to take to heal. I mean, not always, right? Sometimes people can have this amazing release and boom, it's like out. But it's also reasonable to expect that it could take longer than like something that just happened last week. So it's everybody's body is individual, and the body itself chooses in what order it wants to heal itself. So you might come in saying, I need my shoulder fixed. Well, your body might think your knee is a higher priority. And it's going to work on that first. And then maybe your shoulder gets fixed like in 3rd or 4th, priority level. So, it's your body. You just got to let your body do its thing. Like Laura said, get out of its way. Love it. Laura, this was so fun. I feel like we covered a lot. We could probably have more than one interview because there's a lot more to talk about, but it's been a good amount of time. Can you think of anything that you would like to share? I would love you to give your website, tell people kind of where geographically you are located, so they just how they can reach out to you.
Sure. Well, my business is Sandpoint Spinal Flow. So I do have a website. My phone number, if you want to schedule an appointment, is 208-290-6159. And my office is in Sandpoint, Idaho, off of Highway 2 on Olive Street. And I just have a little office there where I can work on 2 people at a time. I can work on 1 or 2, but and
that was great.
I don't know. But I love helping people. So like I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I just wish I was rich so I could just like have people come in for free and I could just see as many people as I could, because I just want to change lives. I just want to give what I had to everybody else.
I felt that through the camera. That's so cool, Laura. That's so beautiful. So yes, if you are anywhere within driving distance to Sandpoint, Idaho, look Laura up, sandpointspinalflow.com. Reach out to her because you're not going to find somebody that's more passionate about this than she is. She's lived it herself, and knowing her personally, I back that up. She's very, very, very passionate and not motivated by money or materialism. She really, truly cares. So thank you so much for being my beautiful friend. Thank you so much for being my guest on the podcast.
Thank you. That's the other best thing about Spinal Flow is that we got to meet each other and became like best friends. Just
so organically
like,
too. It was just beautiful.
I'm just so grateful.
Together. Yeah, I'm filled with gratitude right now as well. And on that note, maybe we'll come back in 6 months and do this again. All right. Okay. I was like, did she say something?
All right.
All right. Have a good one, Laura. Thank you. Bye. You too. Bye.
You too. Love you. Bye.